in terms of the features supported on the gateway. It has to cater to multiple IoT devices. You have options for parental control.
Right.
Then you have options for scheduling the services, MAC filtering, and you indicated DHCP services. In terms of the number of processes being run, right? I mean, it is a lot more. It is just not the traffic processing, but it is...
In this episode, we unpack the difference between residential gateways and enterprise access points. We are joined by Chethan Kumar, a specialist in validating residential gateways.
Let's address support. Residential gateway.
Right.
Most of the end users might not understand what Wi-Fi is, how it works.
Absolutely.
If there is an issue, we just hear the most common phrase, my Wi-Fi is not working.
Right. My Wi-Fi is not working is a complex problem. There is a very good scope for improving that experience in terms of it may be auto recovery mechanisms.
Now talking about gateways, there are few gaming routers.
They give very good throughput numbers. They have fancy configurations.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the latest routers come with, along with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your 802.15.4. So kind of act as an IoT hub. So I think...
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Weekly Wi-Fi Wisdom podcast series where we talk everything about Wi-Fi and the tech that surrounds it. I'm your host Sainath. I'm WLAN QA engineer at Candela Technologies, and today we have our guest Chethan Kumar, and he is currently working as principal validation engineer at Krutrim, but he also comes with long work experience with over 20 years at different companies like Motorola, Aris, Comscope, and Vantiva. I'm glad that he is here, and he comes with very good experience on testing residential gateways, making validation test plans. And in today's episode, we are going to look at what's the primary difference or major differences between a residential gateway and an enterprise access point. So I'm glad you are here, sir. Thank you so much for coming and giving your time. We are looking forward to hear from you on this episode.
Thank you, Sai, for having me here. It's a privilege. And then I definitely look forward to sharing the experiences and my thoughts.
Yes. So let's get started. So let's start with the primary question. So when we say difference, what are the main key differences between a residential router versus the enterprise access point in terms of purpose or architecture?
Sure.
So what are the main differences?
All right. So as the name indicates, right, it's a residential gateway. Residential indicating that the primary use case being the deployment is in a home environment. And the gateway, because it's a gateway of internet traffic into the home. And then there is a portion of the what we call as a WAN side, which is the facing the operator backbone network, and the front hall or the home side, which is facing the devices at home. So the primary difference being the deployment of the residential gateways is in home environment, with usage being from the multiple devices which are at home and multiple users in home. While enterprise access point caters to a very different category of medium business, small business, or dense deployment scenarios, cafeterias. So primarily from the use case perspective, they're very different. They serve very different purposes. And in terms of architecture or ecosystem also, the residential gateways usually are part of an internet service provider's ecosystem, while the enterprises APs are managed or deployed by company's own IT personnel, or it's managed by a few different vendors also. So this is a primary difference there.
Right. Now let's talk about the changes or differences in terms of hardware capabilities.
Sure.
So be it number of antennas or the radio architecture, how do they differ?
So from what I have seen, there is not much difference in terms of the compute power which goes into an enterprise access point versus gateway. Compute power, the I/O, um, the I/O ports or the I/O performances and the memory. So from the hardware perspective, there's very little difference between these two um, devices. Although there is difference in terms of the interface that is provided to the user, the software which runs on the user. From the hardware capability, I see that they're very closely related. Maybe a slight difference would be that on the residential gateways, you have a gateway, an extender to range extend, repeaters, and also you have on the WAN side different different WAN technologies which are being catering into the home. While the enterprise AP side, they're very purely access point based, which provides the wireless service, while the gateway has both to cater to the modem part of it, which is accepting the packets which are in a different format, reformatting it, forwarding it on its LAN side or the wireless side.
Right. So now from this, residential gateway does a few more things than enterprise access point.
Sure.
But it also does NAT.
Absolutely.
And it also runs DHCP server.
Correct.
At times it might do firewall things.
Yes.
So these maybe parental I/O controls.
Yeah.
So there are multiple things attached to residential gateways.
Right.
So how does that impact on performance side of things? Because an enterprise AP may not do all of it, because there is some centralized device.
Absolutely.
Which takes care of all this, right?
Yeah, true. That is true. So Sai, you hit upon a very, very nice differentiating point in terms of the features supported on the gateway. It is just not the traffic processing, but it is the firewalls that you indicated, which provides the security. It is the say it has to cater to multiple IoT devices. So there also the firewalls come into picture, and you have options for parental control,
right?
And then you have options for scheduling the services, MAC filtering, and you indicated DHCP services. So it on the WAN side, it has to act as a DHCP client, on the LAN side as a server.
Yes.
So in terms of the number of processes being run, right? I mean, it is a lot more than what is just required for the traffic processing. From the hardware perspective, the compute power and the hardware components which are present in the gateway are able to cater to all of this workloads. It is the major work has to be done from the software which runs on these hardwares. So when in terms of performance or reliability, which are usually centric to the hardware components being used, there's no challenges there. I mean, no big challenges there. Of course, there will be challenges. There is no big challenges, but the challenges comes in the software layer where there are interactions. Like for example, you indicated that there is NATing, there is IPv6, you have client association. So when all of the transactions are happening, how does the software manage all these transactions? So that is where the challenge comes. So that might lead to some of the unseen scenarios in terms of either race conditions or some of the processes waiting for inputs from the other processes. So that's where you might see some quality issues, which can definitely be unearthed by having a proper validation plan. Yeah.
Right. So you also mentioned now that proper validation plan.
Right.
So you have years of experience validating and testing residential gateways.
Right.
So what's your general approach?
Sure.
How do you develop the test plan when a residential gateway is given to you, and how do you validate that?
Sure. So So when I started out, transitioned a little bit from the wired network into the wireless networks, and then wireless networks being a shared medium, and and also unlicensed medium. Multiple users, multiple devices utilize that medium. So the challenges, complexities are very different from a wired networking to wireless networking. But the end result or the end expectation stays the same, that the experience to the end user from the internet browsing or internet service is the primary concern. So in terms of test plans, I think conventionally we go with the requirements defined, we validate those requirements. Along with that, then we look at the stability of the devices. And along with that, one more area of importance is the performance. That also needs to be taken care of. And then, and wireless being a shared medium and more complex than a wired networking, lot of the validation scenarios should be derived from the deployments that happens in the customer side or the client side. Okay, so from what we have observed, that the test plan gets evolved from the feedback that we get from the client side. So from a prioritization point of view, the requirement compliance, protocol compliance, feature compliance, and system topology compliance, performance compliance, manageability compliance. So these are all the elements that needs to be validated. And also, when you have a new product getting introduced, the test plans are slightly different than when you have a major release, software release coming out, or when you have a minor release coming out. So based on what commits have gone in, or based on what hardware changes have gone in, you tweak your test plans to cater to those areas. So yeah, these are my thoughts on that. Yeah,
a great insight, I feel.
Sure.
Now, from your personal experience, what are the few issues or problems that you have seen only or mostly on residential gateways, but not on enterprise access points?
Okay. So on residential access points, on the residential gateways, if I may, there were a couple that comes to my mind. One is on, we have this mesh where there's a gateway, there's extenders, right? So when we power on this gateways or extenders or controller or agents, what we call as, they have to discover each other. Now, in topology, there can be one controller and one agent. So first, when the device, any extender powers on, it verifies that are there any controllers which are running in the topology. Then it becomes an agent, and then it follows what controller configuration is available. Right. But what we saw as one of the customer reported, and also what we observed, was that at times this extender would even though there was a controller, even though there was no controller in the home, the extender would not become a controller. It was discovering a controller which was from another home. So another home. So what it does is it sends out this multicast traffic out for the discovery packets, and then it so happened that because of the network layout, those multicast packets, because of the bug in the system, was also being forwarded to the WAN side, and from the WAN it would reach the neighboring home's gateway, which would respond to those requests, and it would indicate itself as a controller. So that was one issue we saw, which would bring down the entire mesh network. Okay. And another issue was on the VLAN configuration, for example. VLAN configuration, which is applied mainly on the WAN side to differentiate the traffic, like a video traffic or a voice traffic. That was getting applied on the LAN port also. Okay. Due to which that specific port, for example, port number 4 on the gateway, was not accepting a non-VLAN packet.
Right.
So we observed that when we connected this gateway to one customer's a specific customer's ecosystem, the port was getting, or it was not accepting the traffic.
Right.
So the interaction between the WAN side and the LAN side are the areas where we have seen some issues which doesn't get unearthed only at the access point side or on the LAN side.
Yeah. Tricky issues, I feel. Now, talking about issues,
Right.
let's address support.
Sure.
So, let's say if there is any issue with an enterprise AP, since being an enterprise deployment, most likely there could be some IT person who understands the language
Correct.
of what we are speaking. What's the issue?
That is
He might have the technical knowledge to understand, at least get the initial details.
Right.
But when we are going to residential gateways,
right.
most of the end users might not understand what Wi-Fi is, how it works.
Absolutely.
If there is an issue, we just hear the most common phrase, my Wi-Fi is not working.
Right.
And there could be many layers to it.
Right.
So how do you address support?
True.
What's the main difference of, addressing customer tickets in enterprise versus residential?
Absolutely, Sai. It's a very, very good point that you raised. When we look at an installation of an device in an enterprise setting versus a residential setting, it is mostly driven by the user who owns the device. Maybe the initial setup may be helped by the operator, but then the manageability of the device or new installations falls under the responsibility of the end user who has purchased it. Now, one of the key difference between, or one of the key areas where residential gateways have focused is on making the interface to the user as simple as possible.
Right.
It started out with providing the right LED indicators on the device itself, providing a very well-written manual for somebody to follow the instructions, to going into the user interface for little tech-savvy users. That may not be possible with every customer at home. And then moving on to the mobile application-based self-installation,
Right.
to remotely able to install. So in a home environment, the primary focus is to provide an option to make it as easy as possible for the installation, for the maintainability of the devices.
Right.
So while the other point that you talked about is my Wi-Fi is not working.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's actually a very tricky and an ongoing problem. Both providing a better user interface and providing answer to that question about my Wi-Fi is not working.
Yeah.
Right. So if we backtrace the Wi-Fi connection from, it may be your mobile client, or it may be your laptop, your television, which is streaming a video. So it goes from the end client to an access point, backhauled to the gateway, all the way back to the backbone network and to the intermediate routers. So whenever somebody complains my Wi-Fi is not working, it's mainly because they are not able to get the packets or get the streaming working. So the issue may lie on any of those intermediate nodes.
Absolutely.
Intermediate nodes. So but the blame always gets or goes to the Wi-Fi,
because that's the last hop.
That's the last mile, and then which is correct from the end user perspective also. So there is a very good scope for improving that experience in terms of it may be auto recovery mechanisms, where the first we check whether the association itself is a problem.
Yeah.
If the association or the layer one or the association is fine, has it got an internet? Has it got an IP address?
Right.
Is it pingable? And then whether the traffic is flowing from a client to device to the gateway, or from the gateway's LAN interface to the WAN interface,
Right.
and from the WAN interface to the backbone network.
True.
So, by localizing the problem, by diagnosing it at each of those intermediate steps, helps in at least indicating that this is where the problem is. So, my Wi-Fi is not working is a complex problem.
Yeah.
And it is, I think, as in residential gateway industry, they are working towards making it more seamless and recoverable from that problem.
Yes. Now talking about gateways, there are few gaming routers,
Sure.
which come with very big numbers, performance claims
Absolutely.
up to 10 Gbps or even beyond,
Absolutely.
and has 8x8 spatial streams. So, do they actually provide that kind of performance, or is it just a differentiator in terms of marketing? Do they actually come with such high compute?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question, Sai. I think we all acknowledge that gaming routers, they give very good throughput numbers, and they have fancy configurations.
Yeah.
But from the compute power, from the number of antennas, for example, the residential gateways are catering to the devices which are at home, to the end user Wi-Fi experience. So from the compute power perspective, they really have that compute power.
Yeah.
But in terms of Wi-Fi antennas, very much dependent on the end client, which has a 2x2.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense for us to go more than 4x4, right? So 4x4 antennas are part of the gateways with a good compute power. So the throughput numbers are also improving with the latest gateways. But I do acknowledge that even in in-house Wi-Fi testing, also the gaming routers are used as a benchmark router. So we try to benchmark it against them.
Yeah.
So here, one additional thing one has to notice is that the residential gateways come with lot of additional features in terms of manageability from an operator end. He should be able to query the gateway and get a snapshot of what is happening inside the gateway and what clients it is servicing. So more than the throughput numbers, more than the performance indicators, there are additional features that comes as part of the gateway. So which is actually a strong list of features which are also present in the gateway side.
Nice. Now let's talk about the market side
Sure.
of things. So, what's the market split between residential gateways and the enterprise access points? So, who dominate the market?
Oh, okay. Actually, I don't have the exact number there, but as I indicated, they cater to different markets. If you are looking at a small business or small or medium businesses, or you're looking at deployments inside the stadium, in your a bigger cafe or a rail network, the enterprises access points are there. While it comes to residential gateways, they are localized to home environment, multi-tenant apartments, or it may be a little overlap may exist in very small businesses where you may have, for example, a coffee shop providing hotspot or a Wi-Fi access may have residential gateways also, or it may need not have an enterprise access point. So the markets are very different for an enterprise AP and a residential gateway. So I only have information to that extent. I don't know the exact numbers.
Got it. But I was curious to know what are the amount of units shipped annually between enterprise access point versus residential gateways.
Okay. I'm really sorry. I don't have that.
It's fine. Now, if we take the recent days, connectivity is evolving,
Correct.
right? Lots of IoT devices are being added, sensors, beach sensors, cameras.
True.
So lots of devices are getting online.
Absolutely.
So with this increasing trend of IoT and smart home scenarios, how are residential gateways adopting to this change that's happening today?
Sure. So, Sai, as you rightly pointed out, each home is adding
More and more
devices on an everyday basis, actually, Wi-Fi devices. And Gateway's responsibility is to service all the devices that gets associated. So previously, I remember we used to limit the number of devices to 64, then 128, now 256. So that kind of is an ever increasing number of devices which gets connected. So you indicated the IoT, which is usually bursty traffic, upstream traffic, few kilobytes, but it has to be serviced with a low latency and an immediate response is required.
Right.
So also the information about those devices has to be stored in the gateways. The association of those devices, the current state of those devices, whether it's in a power save mode or whether it's an active mode, all those devices has to be recorded in the gateway. So I think the ISPs understand the requirement in terms of ever increasing number of devices needing internet access. So I think they're well positioned to cater to that segment of services of the IoT. In fact, most of the latest routers come with along with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your 802.15.4. So they kind of act as an IoT hub.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that area of need requirement in the home is well understood, and the current gateways are catering.
The adoption is already happening.
Adoption is already happening there. Absolutely.
And good to know that.
Yeah.
I would like to know about the future of residential gateways.
Sure.
So what do you think is the next wave of innovation or growth element that is out there that residential gateways are chasing?
Sure. Yeah. So very good question. In terms of so I think the problems still remain the same in terms of a better Wi-Fi experience, right? So how do you self-diagnose that there is an issue or proactively react to probable cause for an issue? So from a diagnosis point of view and auto recovery point of view, there is scope for improvement, scope for innovation. And these devices catering to multiple sensors or devices which participate in our either machine learning or AI ecosystem, where content is generated, content is consumed. And so there is a more bidirectional traffic here, downstream and upstream traffic. So the QoS requirements are a little different with AI-enabled devices.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of the recovery options, like say the gateway or the extenders are not able to service, how do they recover from that state? And we always used to have the static thresholds in terms of this is your RSSI range, to which extent I can service, or this is the load on an extender, after which I will ask a client connected to the extender to move to a different device. So those threshold settings can be dynamic. And then that, that comes from understanding the traffic patterns. That comes from understanding the topologies. So previously there was there are solutions where this data about the connected clients, their traffic patterns is fed back to the cloud, where a decision is made and sent back. So the cloud captures a lot of this traffic patterns, the topologies, what problems one home has experienced, how it has recovered. That is a learning.
Right.
And then now that can be brought to the edge device.
Right.
Gateway can also participate in collecting that sort of data and making some intelligent decisions. It may be changing the steer thresholds. It may be, providing looking at when there is more traffic in the daytime and not going to power save modes in those times. So there are areas where an analysis of the network and reacting to the network can be done at the gateway level itself dynamically. Yeah, these are the things.
I think these are very important use cases that one should look at in the future to ultimately the end goal is, as you said, a good user experience.
Absolutely.
So for that, I think these are very important use cases.
Right.
So I think we have covered almost all the questions.
Sure.
So if you have anything to address to our audience, maybe a very less known fact about residential gateways, or anything that you would like to address to our audience,
Sure.
can.
Sure. Thanks, Sai. So as I indicated, there are, at least close to 40 to 50 features which are part of the residential gateway, and then at a time, many of those interactions are happening, and so it's a complex ecosystem inside the gateway itself. So from Wi-Fi services on the gateway, it is an exciting journey which is in front of us with adoption to Wi-Fi 8, with adoption to learning algorithms inside the gateway itself. So there is a lot more that has to come as part of innovation in the gateway, and then I hope we all enjoy that journey going forward. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's all. That's all for today's episode, everyone. I really learned certainly new things from Chethan's insights. Hope you found this episode useful too. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. And if you have any questions for Chethan, please leave them in the comments below. I'll definitely reach out to him and try to get them addressed. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.